it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around if you're used to having a bowel movement every single day and you're fasting and that doesn't happen. Welcome back to the Fasting, Food, and Faith podcast. I'm Brianne Sims, RN.
I'm Dr. Sam Sims, nurse anesthesiologist.
And today we're starting our series on overcoming common fasting struggles. And today we're going to talk about constipation and diarrhea. Yay, aren't you excited? Okay, but seriously, this really will help you if you've been struggling with either of those issues during your fast, because we both have.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with it even when they're not fasting. So.
Yeah, true. So we have some things to help you. It's real. So if you're, sensitive or queasy to this kind of stuff, then, skip to the next episode.
Yeah, come back when you need it.
Yeah, come back when you need it, exactly. When you're fasting, your stomach is resting, which is what you want, because when you're eating constantly, you're never letting your gut rest. And so that's one of the reasons that fasting is so good for you, is that it lets your gut rest and lets your body focus on other processes which are more important sometimes than just digesting food and spreading it out, like burning fat. Yay! Okay, and autophagy, and a lot of things. So it gives your body a chance to heal. So that's why fasting is so healing. But the fact that you're not putting food into your body can cause you not to have a bowel movement. And it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around if you're used to having a bowel movement every single day and you're fasting and that doesn't happen. But it's okay. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just that there's nothing in there that needs to come out. So don't fret too much about it. Your body knows what it's doing, knows how to fast, and so we're going to talk about a few issues that you can have with constipation and diarrhea if you're not going every 5 to 7 days during your longer fast.
I think you have to do a pretty long fast to be at that point, but yeah,
for sure. So for the most part, shorter fast, you'll probably go every day.
Yeah, be fine.
Yeah. First, I'm going to let you talk about diarrhea.
Okay, well, when you're fasting, you're drinking a lot of fluids, and you are not taking in any food.
No solids.
No solids. So you reabsorb a lot of fluid through your small and large intestine, but since you're only taking in liquids, then for a lot of people, that's the only thing that will come out is liquids.
Right.
Some people, it doesn't come out until they start eating again, and then it comes out really quickly. Sometimes some people don't get much warning, especially when you're new to fasting.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say. If you're new to fasting, the tendency towards diarrhea is more. So like even when I first started fasting, I never have had any issues with diarrhea. It's always been the opposite. But when I broke my first fast, I had to run to the restroom immediately.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and it seemed like my body was just ready to eliminate all of the toxins that it had just expelled.
Well, your gut microbiome is based on the foods that you normally eat. And so if you're always eating highly processed foods.
And a lot of sugar.
And that gut microbiome does not get those foods, it starts to die off.
Right.
And so they actually have shown that the gut microbiome is different in obese people versus skinny people.
Right.
And it's a different gut microbiome. So if you don't have those foods, that gut microbiome starts to die off, and then therefore it's dead, and it was in your gut, and your body's going to get rid of it.
Right. So as soon as you eat something, when you first start fasting, your body's like, we got to get this out now.
The research has shown that fasting can change your gut microbiome to a healthy gut microbiome.
Yes.
But so that's one of the consequences of it. People who are...
So it's a process, but it gets better.
Yeah. People who are new to fasting, we always recommend you break your first fast at home.
Yes.
Because it may come on very quickly that you need to go to the restroom. But water in, water out, basically, for a lot of people. But what you can do is you can take a fiber supplement. Wheat dextrin, which a lot of times benefiber is one of the most common ones. Mm-hmm. It absorbs. It has basically no calories. You put it in any liquid. It has no taste. Yeah. It won't break your fast. And it will keep you from having diarrhea, or it'll help with the diarrhea.
Right.
Less emergencies. And as you...
Especially if you're on a longer fast and you're having issues with diarrhea, that's when I would recommend the Benefiber. If you're just doing a short fast that's like 24 hours, overnight, like a day or two.
I still do it on your first fast.
When you break your fast and eat, if you're close to a toilet, it's not really a big deal if you're at home. But, if you're out places and stuff and you're on a longer fast and you have some tea or coffee or something and you're like, oh, I think I might need to go. Because on longer fasts, a lot of times, you'll skip a few days in between, and that's normal of just not having a bowel movement.
Yeah, the guy that had the longest fast, he had a bowel movement. He went over 389 days, I think is what he went in. And he had a bowel movement like every 40 days. So it does start to slow down a little bit. Right,
exactly, which is completely normal because your gut is not processing any actual food. So
right. And then as time changes, it will go. Sometimes what you'll do is you may have diarrhea at the beginning because you had a lot of bad gut microbiome that died off, and then you've reset that, and you do a longer fast after you've been fasting for a long time, and then maybe it's no longer diarrhea that's the problem. It may actually turn into constipation. So on day 3 or day 4. But for other people, it's constipation on day 1. And so we've talked about diarrhea. Obviously you could take some Imodium, I guess, but we've never done that. But water in, water out. But I usually just add in Benefiber. But then if it's constipation, then what?
So that's been more of my issue with fasting is the not going. And so, I usually do magnesium to help with that, depending on how much help you need. So with constipation, it's because there's not enough liquid in your large intestine. So keeping liquid in there means electrolytes. It could mean taking mag citrate, which is magnesium supplement, which is helpful when you're fasting anyways. So I would generally take that a couple of times a week to make sure that I am having a bowel movement, like once or twice a week when I'm on a longer fast, or just at the end of a fast when things aren't quite coming out yet and like your body is used to the fasting and maybe you have an inclination towards constipation anyways for whatever reason. It can be really helpful. So another way to help with constipation is to take a hot Epsom salt bath to sort of warm things up and get things moving down there. I like to do magnesium lotion. You can do stool softeners. There's a lot of different ones out there. Personally, I don't like them as much because they're kind of like, oh, it's an emergency, I have to go to the bathroom now, because a lot of them cause peristalsis instead of just adding liquid to what's already in there, which is why I prefer the mag citrate, because it's not like you can take that in the evening and then have just a regular bowel movement in the morning instead of the emergency like, oh, this is making everything come out right now. Keeping a healthy microbiome is probably your biggest help in preventing the constipation or diarrhea. So staying hydrated, taking sea salt and electrolytes and things like that on long fasts, doing some extra magnesium. And then the last thing would be when you are eating is to eat fermented foods so that you have the correct bacteria in your stomach. And that's different than taking probiotics because probiotics are pretty heavy and
the research on them is mixed also.
It's mixed research and different things. So fermented foods that I would recommend would be sauerkraut, kombucha, yogurt, those kind of things. Anything that's cultured. If it says cultured on the label, then it is fermented and has live active cultures, usually is what it says on there.
So yogurt wouldn't tell. So, will you call yogurt a fermented food? I'd call it a cultured food.
Well, that's what the other things are,
too. All right.
Yeah. Cultured.
So, like pickles, certain pickles would be good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes.
Not all pickles, but.
Some pickles are fermented. There's some fermented horseradish out there. There's fermented milk out there, which is kefir. Like, there's just a lot of different things out there. But, yeah, personally, I don't like kombucha or any of those things, but I eat a bite of sauerkraut with my vitamins every day when I take them, so I have a little bit of the correct microbiota that helps my system.
Speaking of kombucha, some kombuchas actually have sweeteners added to them, so I wouldn't be careful what happens during your fast.
Well, yeah, not while you're fasting, but when you're eating, if you enjoy it, then it's a good way to get.
You might be able to have something that was unsweetened on your
probiotics,
fast. But kombucha, but probably not. But it falls under that fast mimicking thing.
Right, or you could just drink the juice from the fermented foods or whatever. Or sometimes I just do one bite of yogurt or something like that. That's not sweetened. So yeah, those are all ideas of keeping your gut healthy. Another great thing to use as a fasting fuel while you are fasting to help heal your gut and prevent the constipation and diarrhea is to drink bone broth. So that's also a really good option. It's great for breaking your fast, it's great during your fast, and it's great for helping with constipation and diarrhea.
Yep.
Because it just is so healing. So
yep, it's good. And I will add in that what works for diarrhea, the benefiber, also works for constipation,
yes.
the benefiber.
Yes.
You can use it for both, and so that's kind of why I recommend it anyway, especially when you're new to fasting or doing long fast. Just use the benefiber because it will help with both issues.
There you have it. Some ideas to help you overcome constipation and diarrhea with your fasting. If you think this was helpful and you know someone who struggles with issues during fasting, we'd love it if you shared it with them. Thanks for being here.